Greetings everyone, DC here. I'm going to do a little instructional video on Warden healing, the way I do it. First thing I'd like for you to do is go to Settings, Interface, Combat, and make sure you have Cast on Target's Target and Show Target of Target checked. Then hit OK. What that does for you when you're in a party and you have someone selected, like I have Fog selected right here, then you hit a damaging ability, it's going to fire on his target. So he has that dummy right in front of him targeted. As you can see, I just hit it with a damaging ability. So that's useful for you when you're in groups, especially when you're attacking a mob. If you have the tank selected, targeted, you'll be firing on the mob that he has selected, and he's aggroing. That way you can't pull aggro from one of the other ads that he does not have selected. And also when you're healing, since I have Fog selected here and I do a single target heal, it's going to go to him. I don't have to select or mouse over or do anything. So that's a good feature to have. Okay, I'm going to assume that you have downloaded the Google Doc that I wrote, and you have your soul loaded, macros loaded, and your kalerts loaded, and we're going to go on. Right here are my kalerts, and I'll give you a little quick tutorial on how to load them. If you go down to your chat box and type in /kalert, it'll bring the panel up. So it's Cruel's alerting system, and as you can see in this panel are all of the abilities I have loaded. But if it's blank, you can just go in and you can copy off my page and go into import set, copy it in here, hit import, and then they'll be in there and your page will populate like this right here. You can hit edit layout, and this is how all of them are going to look on the screen, and you can move them around any way you want and put them wherever you want. And then once you do that and you hit save, they're going to stay there. Okay? There's a lot of videos out there on YouTube on kalerts, so I'm going to move on. Okay, so I use a gamepad. I have my abilities set up on the action bars in 3 rows of 5. That's the way I play. And if you look, you can see how the kalerts correlate with those buttons. Okay. Now, you might say, well, why don't you just make the buttons bigger? Well, because the kalerts do certain things, as you're about to see, that help me out, also being big to let me know which button to press. Okay? So I have Fog selected. We're going to talk about the first row of buttons first. So this one is the Orbs of the Tide macro. This one is the Face Reward macro. This one's the Orbs of the Stream macro. That is the Ripple ability, and that is Soothing Stream macro. So those are all the macros I gave you. So these are pretty much, for the most part, going to be single target heals. Okay, so I'm going to go through this bar first. One nice thing about having this video is you can go back to it and look at it whenever you want. I'm going to tell you a practice strategy at the end, so don't worry about remembering all this. You'll be able to look at it again. Okay, so the first, Orbs of the Tide. So I moused over that, and you can see it applies 3 Orbs of the Tide for 30 seconds. When hit, restores 11,685 to 12,000, etc., on up to 10 party or raid members, and removes 1 orb. So what that means is I have this macro set up, and once again, if you look at your macro, it's set up to be on me. Okay? It says cast at self, Orbs of the Tide. So when I hit that button, it cast on me, Orbs of the Tide. You can kind of see them there. That little thing running around. There's a couple of them, those little balls running around. Anyway, notice the timer. Okay? So it's counting down. Remember, it said 30 seconds. So when I hit 0, I will know to hit the button again. Okay? So watch, it'll count down, 6, 5. So the kalerts I gave you will do this if you installed them. So I hit 0, I hit it again, puts it back on me. Okay? So now we're going to move on to the second button, which is Face Reward. And Face Reward is a proc ability. So instant and channel damaging and healing abilities apply a stacking buff to you, reducing the cast time of your next non-instant ability by 0.5 seconds per stack, max 5 stacks. So I have that kalert set up to count to 5, and once it does, it's going to throw a kalert up there to tell you to hit the button. And when you hit the button, it's going to use the ability Overflowing Renewal. Okay, so cast that self-overflowing renewal. So what you're going to do is you're going to cast overflowing renewal on you. What is overflowing renewal? Overflowing renewal restores 40,000 health. Overhealing is spread up to 2 of the allies' party or raid members. So not only are you going to keep yourself fully healed, but unlike most other heals, when you heal somebody, if it overheals, the rest of it goes to waste. Whatever's left over is going to go to 2 party members. Okay? So that's a good thing. It's going to keep yourself alive. So let's watch that in action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a damaging ability. I'll use Geyser. Just hit Geyser to a proc. You'll see it proc here. It procced, so I hit it, and you can see the heals it's throwing off right here. Okay? So that's going to happen every 5 times you use a healing or damaging ability. Now the next button is, by the way, you can see how I have these named. This first one here is Tide. That's for Orbs of the Tide to remind me. The second one, I have OR here for Overflowing Renewal. And here I put ST3. So what that does, it helps me remember it's for a single target and to hit it 3 times. So once again, I have Fog selected. So I'm going to hit it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And you'll see the Healing Breath kalert came up and it's counting down to 0, letting me know that it can be, the ability's ready to be used again. The cooldown's off. But what I want you to pay attention to is see this little diamond up here? That's what's called a proc. So Banish proc. So if you look at your soul tree and you look down here, one of the legendaries I ask you to select is called Banish, and it heals for 96,000 over 15 seconds. This effect is applied by your Sentinel Healing. So when you hit Sentinel Healing, you're going to proc Banish. So if you have it on a single target and you hit a Sentinel Heal, it's going to proc it, and it's going to heal for whatever the Healing Breath is. So if we look at Healing Breath, it's 38,000, roughly 40,000, plus another 100,000. So it's about 140,000 heal you just applied by hitting 1 button. Okay? By hitting Healing Breath. Okay? Now the KL alert on it is kind of sporadic. Sometimes it'll pop up here with a little countdown. Most of the time it don't though. Anyway, I want you to notice how that Banish is there, because a lot of people are like, why do I want that legendary? It's a damage legendary. Well, yeah, it is, and you can use it for damage. But the main thing is that it procs and does 100,000 heal. Okay? So the next button, Ripple, we're going to talk about here in a second. And Soothing Stream, I rarely ever use. It's a single target heal. You can spam it 4 times to put it on something. If you read the tooltip there, it says max 4 stacks. So it's going to heal for about 90,000. But an ability we're going to talk about in a second here is going to do a little bit better with that. Okay, I'm going to use Ripple with it. Okay, so the first row here, remember, is mostly single target stuff. Okay. Second row, first button, Healing Flood. I would say I hit that button probably close to 70% of the time when I'm raid healing. If you're looking at the legendary, it heals for 25,000 over 15 seconds, up to 20 party or raid member stacks up to 3 times. Okay, so I'm going to hit it 3 times and watch the heals that comes out of it. Okay, keep in mind it's only going on 2 people. That would be times 10. That healing would be times 10 in a raid. Okay, so now we got a Procure for Overflowing Renewal, face reward. So we hit it. Here we go. So look at what that healed for. Okay, so remember, healing flood. Now I'm going to hit 3 more times again. Pay attention to the K alert. 1, 2, 3. See how it disappeared? It's going to count down for you. Hit Overflowing Renewal. So you're watching here. Now it's active again, so you want to hit it, spam it 3 more times. Okay, so as you can see, we have some time to do some things here. All right, so what we're going to do with that time is we're going to throw heals on our single target, and we're going to do some damaging abilities. Okay, but let's finish with the second row first. Okay, the next button in the second row is Monsoon. So if we look at Monsoon, it says applies Healing Flood, Healing Spray, and 4 stacks of Soothing Stream, up to 10 party or raid members. Okay, so when you hit that, you're going to get the 4 stacks that you'd have to hit 4 buttons here, hit 4 times here, hitting 1 button. Okay, another thing is, what's it say about Ripple? Spreads the Kalerts Healing Spray and Soothing Stream, which we've applied with this to 5 of the target's party or raid members. So here we're putting 10, here we're putting 5, so we just healed 15 people for this amount. So let's watch this heal. Ripple's active. So keep in mind there's only 2 people in this raid, so that's going to be times whatever you have in your group. Okay? It does have a cooldown on it. It's a 1-minute cooldown, so it'll appear when it's on cooldown. Okay, the next button is Pool of Restoration. That's a pretty good heal. I hit it every once in a while when I'm just kind of bored. And we do not have the legendary of this, so we're on the normal version down there. So it restores about 14k health and 3 additional, so they'll get about 13 people. Okay, healing Effusion, I rarely use that. I just pretty much have it here as a placeholder. Look at the mana, it uses 1600 mana, it drains your mana real quick. Okay, so Monsoon just became active again. We had 2 buttons alert us. Okay, and Wave of Renewal. I know you've seen this before. The little ring that expands and contracts. One of the things that I did though is I added an ability to it. There's a macro for Wave, and if you look at the macro, it says Tidal Surge. Okay, so what does Tidal Surge do? Let's look at Tidal Surge. Tidal Surge increases damage done, healing done, and absorption granted on their next ability by 80%. Okay? So we're going to hit that button twice. And let's see what kind of heal we get. We got 250,000 times 2. And another 120,000 times 2. So that should heal everybody up to full. Okay? And once again, it's all party or raid members. Okay? All right, let's go down to the third row. The third row I call the damaging row. Okay? Because it has all the damaging abilities. Okay. I had fog deselected or somehow. Anyway, look at Flame Lance. See the timer going down right there? I hit Flame Lance. It's a damaging ability, but the important thing is your non-purifier healing is increased by 15% for 30 seconds. Okay, so remember up here we're applying. Let's let this go on cooldown and we'll hit it again and I'll show you. So let's go ahead and apply the single target to fog. So there goes healing breath, and then we'll hit flame lance. And what that's going to do is that's going to increase that by 15%. All of those heals going on him right now are plus 15%. Okay, for 30 seconds. Okay, I was talking about the third row there. Let's talk about the third row. The first ability we have in third row is Flame Lance. And if you look at, remember we selected that as a legendary. So if you look at it, it says it changed twice for damage. Your non-purifier healing is increased by 15%. So any sentinel healing that you do, or purifier or sentinel healing that you do, is going to be increased 15%. Okay, so let's see how that works. We have fog selected, so we're going to heal him. We're going to do our ST3, hit it 3 times, hit Flame Lance, and so all those heals, you can see where Flame Lance hit there, and it crit, and all those heals are going to be increased 15% now. That's coming right now for another 20 seconds. Okay? So the second button in that row is Geyser, and Geyser not only does damage, it heals. So I spam that a lot when healing breath is counting down, and also dehydrate and call up the depths. So what I do with those is I'll spam Geyser and dehydrate and call of the depths. You'll see they have a timer going because they are actually damage over time. One's 15 seconds and the other's 15 seconds, so they count down. So I'll know when they're ready to go again. Okay? So once again, that's Flame Lance. It's on a timer. That does damage, and then it also gives you 15% more healing. And your Geyser is doing damage and healing. If you watch here, you'll see the red's damage, the green's healing. You can see how much healing's going off. So remember, on the tooltip, that healing's going to hit 10 people if you have them in a group. 5, 10, or 20. Whatever you have in your group is going to hit them. Okay? Don't forget when you're overflowing renewal procs to hit it, and you'll see that heal go off. And the last thing I want to talk about is the shield here. So if you look at the shield, if you look at the macro for the shield, it's symbol of the torch. It's a purifier shield, and it's a mouse over UI, symbol of the torch. So the way a mouse over UI works is just if you mouse over somebody and you hit the ability, it puts it on them. So you can see I just put shield of the torch on me and fog. Okay? Now since I had fog selected, all I would have to do is hit the button and it would have put it on him. Okay? So let's kind of go through, and you can watch my kalerts and kind of watch my buttons activate down here on how I try to heal. And I'll hit Orbs Died. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about a practice strategy. So let's go to a practice dummy. You can use the one in the guild. Just select it. And what I want you to practice doing is getting very proficient with the second row buttons, because remember, a Warden is a raid healer, so you're going to be expected to keep the raid alive. Everything else you do is going to be secondary. Keeping the raid alive is going to be your primary mission. Okay, so you have to be very comfortable with this row of buttons. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to practice hitting the healing flood 3 times and then filling the time in doing other stuff. Okay? So we're going to assume that the raid is not taking a bunch of damage, because if they are, you want to be using your monsoon, your healing infusion, your polar restoration, and your wave of renewal as needed while you're waiting for your cooldown on healing flood. But let's just practice some of that stuff, and keeping an eye on kalerts. We just want to get our hand-eye coordination going here. Okay, so let's go with healing flood 3 times. Okay, and then overflowing renewal procs, so we're going to hit it. Flame Lance, we're going to start spamming monsoon, hitting the other damaging abilities, hitting our orbs. Just doing stuff to bide the time. Whenever overflowing renewal comes up, we're going to hit it. Comes healing flood, hit it 3 times again. Proc came 1 more time on healing flood. Okay, and then say we did start taking some damage, we're going to hit monsoon, ripple comes up, hit it, and keeping an eye on the healing that's going on up there. You can see we've got a ton of healing going on. So as you can see, I'm not hitting a single target. I don't have anybody to select right now. And plus, remember, your priority is always the raid. So we want to be healing as many people as we can, using our abilities. Whenever healing flood comes up, we want to make sure we hit it. Okay, so that's what I want your practice strategy to be. You could go in, IAs is a good place to practice. It's very good when you go out on a guild run where they're going to do like low level runs or something, do whatever, where you can't get in a lot of trouble. You're not going to be killing a lot of people. Okay? So work on that, and when you become comfortable with that, and then you can work into your rotation, the single target and the shielding. Okay? Don't forget about your wave of renewal. That thing's pretty powerful heal. Okay, so that would be your practice strategy, and I'm going to try to go do some IAs so you can see it in action. Okay, so here we are in an IA, and I'm in my Warden spec, and right here is a tank, so we're going to select that tank, and we're going to start off with it, and we're going to pop up some heals for that tank, and then we're going to proc our heals for the grade. And we're just going to spam all that. Okay? As you can see, the raid's very well healed. So as you can see, it's fairly easy to keep a rate up using this strategy, this rotation. So you can go on, like I said, and practice in IAs like I have been right here. Okay. All right, thank you very much.